Keeping them honest with the Penn State child sex abuse scandal and the clearest account yet from the star witness against the suspect, Jerry Sandusky. Now, for weeks, we've been getting conflicting reports about what this man, Mike McQueary, saw in a locker room shower on campus back in 2002, saw happening between Sandusky and the boy known as victim number 2. Now, there's the version contained in that 23-page grand jury presentment. There's what McQueary reportedly told friends in an email, claiming he made sure the abuse stopped. There's also a third account by a family friend reported in the Patriot News by CNN contributor Sarah Ganim, suggesting McQueary didn't even directly see the molestation. So today, at this preliminary hearing for 2 of his bosses, McQueary finally gave his account in open court on the record, under oath, and it was a powerful one. He said he saw sexual activity between Jerry Sandusky and the boy, and he told superiors what he saw. Quote, "There's no question in my mind that I conveyed to university officials that I saw Jerry with a boy in the shower and that it was severe sexual acts going on and that it was wrong and over the line." He went into detail, and our apologies, it is graphic detail, telling the court he heard rhythmic slapping sounds like skin on skin. Then he says, quote, "I looked in the mirror and shockingly and surprisingly saw Jerry with a boy in the shower." He said Sandusky was behind the boy was against the wall. He told the court he believes the 2 were engaged in intercourse, but said he could not be sure. "I was not thinking straight," McQueary said, adding that he was, quote, "sure the incident was over when he left." That both confirms and also contradicts the email that he reportedly wrote, remember the one we reported on weeks ago, saying, quote, "I made sure it stopped, but not I stopped it." There's a difference. In court today, he described what he did next, saying he called head coach Joe Paterno the next morning, telling Paterno what he saw was, quote, "extremely sexual in nature." Paterno, he says, told him he was shocked and saddened. Now, Paterno then told his boss, athletic director Tim Curley, and Howard Schultz, who was the university vice president who oversaw the campus police. But keeping him honest, according to Paterno's grand jury testimony, which was read back in court today, so that's the first time we're actually hearing the grand jury testimony, Paterno did not notify them immediately because, and get this, he didn't want to interfere with their weekends. What's more, McQueary's testimony today conflicts with another portion of Joe Paterno's account to the grand jury, that McQueary only told him he saw Sandusky, quote, "fondling or doing something of a sexual nature," unquote. Now, that's different from McQueary's characterization of the act as, quote, "extremely sexual." More than a week later, McQueary was grilled by Tim Curley and Gary Schultz, and the alleged act got watered down even more. Well, today, the judge heard Curley's grand jury testimony, also read back. Asked whether McQueary reported seeing an act of sodomy, Curley told the grand jury absolutely not. As for Schultz, he told the grand jury he recalled McQueary saying that Sandusky may have grabbed the boy's genitals while wrestling. Schultz also testified that the allegations were, quote, "not that serious." Then, essentially, nothing happened. Neither Curley nor Schultz, Paterno nor McQueary notified campus or local police or state child welfare authorities as the law requires. When asked by Sandusky's lawyer why he didn't notify police, Mike McQueary said that in talking to Schultz, he thought he was notifying the police because Schultz oversaw the campus police. Again, nothing happened. The grand jury found McQueary a reliable witness. They called portions of Curley and Schultz's accounts not credible. They're now facing charges of perjury and failure to report abuse, and that's what today's hearing was about. And at the end of it, the judge concluded there is enough evidence to go forward with the trial. HLN's Mike Galanos was inside the courtroom. He joins us now. Mike, what was McQueary's demeanor like on the witness stand?
You know, Anderson, in a case like this, we've talked so much about Mike McQueary. So I watched him as he walked into that courtroom, you know, because with Jerry Sandusky, it was the same way a couple of days ago. You watch their every move. Same with McQueary. You know, he's a big guy. He's about 6'4". And he had this demeanor. He took this deep breath, walked up to the stand. He was ready to tell his story. I thought he was very credible and very succinct in what he had to say and very detailed, which makes him even more credible.
What kind of response did he get in the courtroom?
You know, again, to harken back to a couple of days ago when we thought we were going to hear accusers talk with Jerry Sandusky in the room, it was not as intense, but it became so when he began to talk, Anderson, and we knew as we were sitting in this courtroom, we're going to get detail, more detail of what he saw allegedly in 2002, and everybody had the laptops out, and it was this rat-a-tat-tat of everybody really just transcribing his every word. It became more intense as the morning went on, and it lasted a couple hours with Mike McQueary.
What I found most significant about today is that this really was the first time we heard some of the grand jury testimony read back, because previously all we'd had was this grand jury, kind of a summation of what happened in the grand jury.
Yeah, again, it was back to a lot of the details that you rattled off. And even more so as he began to tell his story, Mike McQueary, he was at home and he was about ready to go to sleep, but he watched a football movie, and that motivated him to go to the football offices because he was going to watch tapes of recruits, and it went from there. Again, adding to that credibility, this incredible detail, because if he saw what he says he saw, he'll never forget it, Anderson.
Mike Galanos, thanks very much.